Welcome to the Joy of Connecting, where modern professionals share stories of meaningful connection and how it can increase business success, unlock career growth, and create personal happiness. If you like what you hear today, get even more by following the Joy of Connecting on LinkedIn and subscribing to our newsletter that features tips from experts on how to network and connect with more meaning. You are back on the Joy of Connecting with host Melissa, and I'm here today with Lauren Gibson. She is a connection alchemist. She brings people together in ways that are unique, and she does it with a vibe that makes you understand really how much connection can do for you. I think she puts an importance on the connections themselves that are giving people a lot to run with, creating a lot of energy. She did that for me. I was lucky enough to connect with her a few weeks ago, and now she's here today to chat with you listeners. Lauren, would you introduce a little bit of what you work on, but more importantly, who you're very passionate about helping?
I'm really grateful to be on this podcast with you. So I want to start off by saying that this is really a space that is evolving within the future of work. And I believe that connection is part of that future because AI and automations, as they are going to be growing within the industries that we work in, we want to be able to connect in a more human way with each other. And so that said, the past couple of weeks, I've been really focusing on this part of the future of work, which is being able to connect people online. And so who I have passion to connect with are professionals pretty much on LinkedIn who want to have that deeper, more intimate, intentional connections with each other. And so the past couple weeks, I facilitated 10 networking, which I like to call connection power hour events, where almost 100 people, unique individuals got to join these events and connect with around 10 other people each time in these events.
Now, this is brilliant. So, listeners, Lauren put a goal of connecting 100 people across 10 weeks, set that goal for herself, and then came up with this kind of essentially unique approach. Sure, we meet in groups, sure, we meet online, but you came up with your own unique approach to doing that. How did you first come up with that? Where did that
Yeah,
inspiration come
I
from?
started to look within myself and I wanted to provide value on LinkedIn because I have started to become more present on LinkedIn as a social media platform. And I
Mhm.
want to engage myself in a more professional sense. And so I know that what I bring as value to LinkedIn and to my connections on LinkedIn is connection. It's what I'm really good at
Mhm.
on LinkedIn, but also outside LinkedIn. As soon as I meet someone, I am able to start thinking, oh, you mentioned this. Oh, I see your diploma there, right? I start thinking about all these different connections within just an image or within what you explained to me. And I love to connect these ideas within other people who might have similar visions or similar ideas who might be adjacent to ourselves, which me being the center of that connection building. And so I love to be known as that person who is the catalyst for that connection between professional connections, but also my personal connections. And that's what I wanted to bring to the world and to the professional world.
Get yourself a Lauren in your life, folks, because she is drawing one string to another from all around the interwebs. Very, very glad to have people like you creating that or bringing your superpower to benefit others. It's truly incredible. So you are excited to be here to share a short story about a time when connection, created business, helped somebody with a career, created personal happiness. I'd love to hear your short story. I know you probably have a million of these, but what's one that you'd love to share with our
I'd
listeners?
love to share for any listeners who are looking for their next job, their next role, maybe they're a student. LinkedIn was the place for me to find my next roles, my connections, and build my network. And I really highly recommend utilizing LinkedIn's connection building algorithm to connect with like minded individuals. So, my story revolves around the fact that a couple years ago, when I wanted to get into the blockchain and Web3 space, I reached
Mhm.
out to a lot of different connections of people who hosted podcasts and who hosted events and who were founders of these blockchain associations. So I wanted to build my network and connect with people in the space that I wanted to enter. because otherwise I had no connection into this space, especially as a technical space.
Mm.
I wanted to enter it not from a technical side, but from a business side. And through business, you need to have connections and networking within that space. So I was actually doing my master's at the time in business, and I was looking for an internship, but I knew in the Web3 space and not a lot of places really have internships as well. And I visualized myself as really being at the forefront of this industry. So being in the space that was really developing. So a space that might not have had a Series A or Series B, but something that was in a pre-seed kind of realm. So I was connecting all over LinkedIn, and one of my connections, he was an alum of the master's program that I was a part of at that time, Georgetown, and he connected with me to say that he was working on a really niche space in the DeFi, decentralized finance space. And I thought that was really interesting. Not much happened within the connection over Zoom, really, but it was only later that I was following up with him on LinkedIn that I saw that he was asking specifically for someone who knew about accounts receivables. And in my mind, I worked in accounts receivables a year prior. So I commented on his LinkedIn post and I said, "Oh, I used to do this." And the funny thing is, even in our virtual connection, we didn't talk about this, but it was the connection later on LinkedIn that I was able to make a
Mm.
further connection to mention that that is the exact space I was in. And that's when he followed up with me to say, all right, I need you to start creating a document that would list out what would be your job description for an internship. So I got to working and he gave me a couple pointers, and that connection and all the connections that I've had in my life have led me to working for the co-founder of Ethereum, Joe Lubin, which was pretty much the ultimate space that I wanted to be in.
Absolutely amazing story. There were 2 things I think that really stood out to me. The first is the point of a connection isn't just one connection,
Mhm.
it's multiple connections over time, and they're getting stronger and stronger and stronger and can lead you somewhere. But also, I love that your tale was starting in this realm of, I don't have
Yeah.
connections. I don't have anything in this area. I know I wanna be there. I don't have any connections. So many folks, especially younger in their career, want to be somewhere and don't know how to break in, or they say, "Well, I don't have a network." Well, let's follow what Lauren has set the path for, which is to go out and start building a network. You have to get out there. Leads me to my next question, which is, what's one piece of advice you might give someone early in their career who wants to build a network, who wants to start building these connections or to become more of a connector?
So there are two types of people that I want to focus on, two connections that you'll want to have in your network. You want to have people who would be your mentors, who could also be your bosses, and then people who would be more so your colleagues around your same level, who could be in adjacent industries or the same industry as you. And so I want to share
Mhm.
specifically with the people that you're going to be building up as around your same age, around your same experience, around your same level, that I believe if you want to have deeper connections with people, you want to share
Mhm.
one piece of vulnerability. Because when you're able to do that,
Mm.
you can create a deeper bond between you and that person. And that will make them remember you more. And with that remembrance, they'll start to remember your entire conversation just because you were able to get a little bit below the surface level. And I mentioned that for those adjacent connections rather than the mentor boss relationship, because of course you want to still be respectful of them and understand when and how much to be vulnerable with some of these more experienced connections.
Yeah, there's a tricky layer there where you want to be yourself, but also when it is a mentor or a
Mhm.
kind of a power dynamic that's different, it is hard to bring your full self because you don't want to appear, weak or too vulnerable. That's really well said. Let's go back to the one you mentioned with someone at your peer level. When
Mhm.
you're connecting with someone and you're building these relationships, what's one question that you like to ask that you find really opens up the discussion or maybe opens up this space for being more vulnerable or more authentic?
I love to ask people stories about how they got to where they
Mm.
are today because it's all about connection and it's
Mhm.
all about the connection that you make with others. And I just find it so fascinating to see where one connection leads to one person being to where they are today, whether it be a connection with another individual or a connection that they made in their mind between themselves and what they enjoy or their childhood fascination and where they are today.
Oh, that's a really, really wonderful one. Well, I know you've connected many folks. I know you talk connection all the time. Before I let you go, I'd love to know who is one other person that you view as a real connection pro, someone that you think is just setting the bar for doing it well.
I'd like to perhaps give a shout out to Selena Coates. She is a community builder for social impact communities. And I think because of her community building expertise as her own company, working with multiple companies, she's very similar to me in that when you have a chance to speak with her, she's already thinking about like the next person that you can connect with. And she's all about social impact, but about growing the value of social impact communities because social impact communities don't always know
Mm.
how to monetize themselves effectively. And she's all about growing that. So I'd love to give a shout out for her.
Oh, she sounds amazing. Well, Lauren, before I let you go, where else can people find out more or start connecting with you?
Connect with me on LinkedIn, Lauren Gibson, and really just see what I'm building there. I am currently building a community network because I do believe the future of work is more so community and connection based because as the future moves so rapidly and we enter this fifth industrial revolution, as we're calling it, we need human relationships more than ever.
We do, and I cannot wait to talk with you more about this. We're going to see amazing things happen in the next few years, and I can't wait to see what you do.
Thank you so much, Melissa, for your time.
Yeah, thanks for coming.
Thanks for tuning in. If you enjoyed the episode, please leave a review to help us reach more listeners. Have a story of your own to share or know someone who should be on the show? Visit www.joyofconnect.ing and let us know. Now go send a short message to someone you've been meaning to connect with. You never know where it might lead.